Time for our October Wine Club wines, and we have an amazing selection for you this month.
We do, yeah. It's getting that time of year, October, November, December. The good stuff starts coming out.
Yes, not let me say it's not always good, but the really, really good stuff is coming in because now we get into those bigger reds and the acidic whites, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it is definitely red season, but those, like you said, those acidic whites, perfect for those holiday meals.
Holiday meals and fireplace time as well. And this month we have Andrew Alley going to be joining us from 17th Street because all the wines come from his portfolio. So let's get into this month's selections. Talking about those acidic whites, we have a lovely Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand. It is just that perfect kind of white grapefruit on this. Really enjoyable for those white wine drinkers that want to and still enjoy their white wines all year long. Andy, I think this is going to be one that folks are going to love with white meat still. I'm really excited about this one. And of course, we have Andrew Alley to tell us all about this right now.
Thanks, Danny and Andy. Our first one today is the White Cliff Vineyard Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough in New Zealand. A classic representation of this historic white grape grown on the South Island of New Zealand, part of a really pioneering winery in New Zealand called Sacred Hill Estate. Named White Cliff for the kind of white river stones that kind of populate the vineyard. To me, this is one of those kind of quintessential expressions of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. It's got that vivid, bright, electric kind of pink grapefruit, passion fruit, that kind of little lemongrass note to it. If you're having sushi or a fantastic kind of Thai fusion dishes, perfect wine. Also great wine for kind of this transition between the warmer summer months and the beginning of the fall, but really a beautiful, all sustainably farmed, estate-grown representation of New Zealand's classic white wine.
This wine right here, if you want to go back to the Romeo and Juliet days, a lot of people say Pinot Grigio, they associate with Italian wines. No. The Italians, they drink salt. They drink Suave, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what they like. So this is like their everyday wine, but they're rich wines. They're really beautiful wines, and we have picked a great one for your wine club. Danny, you know these wines are perfect for holiday meals and things like this. A lot of people know Suave wines, but trust me, they're really good white wines from Italy. So
you're going to really enjoy this. And it's 2015, which was a great vintage year from everything from Italy.
Yes.
And we're going to let Andrew Alley tell you all about this wine right now.
Next up, the Brigadara Suave. So Suave is this quintessential, very classic northern Italian white wine. It's grown exclusively in these hills outside of Verona. So yes, it is romantically the wine of Romeo and Juliet. This particular winery, Brigadara, their roots go back to 1260 AD, so an almost 800-year-old estate vineyard and winery practicing all organic and sustainable farming. Here they cultivate this unique grape called Garganega, and the wine produced from that Suave has these beautiful floral and mineral and green apple notes. It's considered the quintessential pairing for shellfish. Particularly every year they have a huge clam festival in this part of Italy. So if you're thinking about any kind of late summer kind of oyster roast, clam roast, but also when you think about kind of thinly pounded cuts of chicken, veal with a nice lemon piccata sauce, this is one of the perfect pairings. And like I said, any Italian will tell you that this is a wine that kind of speaks to the heart of Italian white wine drinkers.
This next wine we have for you, great French wine, high scoring wine. Like, we don't usually see a high score this high in our wine club.
97 points.
97 points is huge. But this wine, 70-year-old average vines for Carignan. Carignan is another grape I love, deep dark fruits. But I think actually, the 7 years is the average. I think these are actually like 150 years old. I think that's what Andrew says, something like that. But yeah, so a little bit of Carignan, Syrah, Grenache in there. So this wine would be perfect for your upcoming October cooler nights. And I think you're going to really like this.
Chateau Croix de Amide. Here we're in the south of France. Just a few miles in from the Mediterranean. This is an area called the Languedoc. Some of the oldest vines and vineyards and history of wine growing in France come to this unique area in the south. And really, at the top of the food chain, one of the most important appellations or wine growing areas in this region is called Corbière. And that's where Chateau de Almeida is. It's owned by the Barcelou family. Once again, its roots go back to the 1300s, very historic property. And here the unique grape they work with is called Carignan, and particularly known for old vine Carignan. So this is their 2018 Cuvée Reserve. It's got some phenomenal wine press recently for one of the wines we think is one of the best bang for the buck reds coming from France. It's a blend of 40% old vine Carignan Carignan. These are all vines more than 70 years of age with 30% Grenache and 30% Syrah. You get that beautiful kind of, rich, hearty Mediterranean red with kind of nice dark fruit and that spiciness and smokiness. If you have any kind of summer or fall kind of chilies, stews, casseroles, but this is a red that's really going to go with anything that has that kind of more hearty, rustic kind of fall feel to it.
This next wine we have for you, I tasted a long time ago. I don't think you had a chance to taste it yet, but this is your big red for your cold nights coming up. This is your chewy, bold, beautiful wine from Douro region that you're going to love for your big red meats and things like that coming up. So this is your big red wine. The other red wine we have for you is very well, but it's not as big and bold as this one. So this is your big, bold wine we have for you that's coming up this holiday season. You're going to love it. This region is very undervalued. Usually when you taste wines like this, it's just so much value for the money.
Yeah, and we're going to have Andrew tell you all about it now.
Now we're off to Portugal, specifically to an area called the Douro Superior. Not everybody knows that by name, but this is the heart of the vineyards where port wines are produced. But there's been this great movement in Portugal in the last 2 decades where more and more vineyards have been converted over to producing dry table wines. And this is a great representation of that. It's the Vale de Cavalos, 2017 vintage of the Douro Superior. Here a really powerful, intense blend focusing on what's considered the king of Portuguese red wine grapes, which is Touriga Nacional, blended with a little bit of Tinta Ruiz, Touriga Franca, Tinta Barroca. These are all the classic grapes of the region, but this is an old vine cuvee, mostly vines more than 50 years of age, aged in a little bit of French and American oak. But here, if you're looking for that big kind of toothy, kind of mouthful, dark, kind of intense red. This wine will drink almost like the combination of your favorite Cabernet and Syrah all rolled into one. But, dollar for dollar, there's a strong argument in the wine world right now that if you like big, hearty reds, these areas in Portugal are the kings of value when it comes to those styles of wines.
All right, Reserve Club members, it's time to get to your Reserve Club bottle, and that is the Storybook Zinfandel from Napa. This, I'm telling you right now, everybody's going to get a chance to try it. You're going to have to pull out that $10 extra to get it if you're not in the Reserve Club. You're going to upgrade for this one, and you're going to say, Dan, Andy, you guys get us every time because the upgrade bottle is so worth it, and the Reserve Club bottle this month is no exception. This one is stellar of a Zinfandel. Even Andy doesn't, a big Zinfandel lover. Andy loved this wine, and I'm telling you right now, this is old school California Zin. This is
40 years ago.
40 years ago when they were making it, this is how they were making it. Storybook stayed true to this. Always scores high throughout all the raters from Parker to Wine Enthusiast, wine. They're just
actually
all,
this is like a Parker loves this wine.
Yeah, it's a cult wine. So we're gonna have Andrew tell you a little bit more about Storybook Vineyards right now.
Our next wine is going to be the Storybook Mountain Vineyards My Camus Range Estate Zinfandel. This is a wine that I first personally fell in love with more than 15 years ago. It became one of the first Napa Valley wines that I bought and collected, and have been fortunate enough to consume wines going all the way back into the early to mid-90s. So yes, unlike most Zinfandels, the Storybook Mountain wines are having an immaculate reputation for being able to cellar and age for decades. All estate grown. The roots of this vineyard actually date to 1868. Planted by Jacob Gren, one of the early pioneers up near Calistoga. It was taken over by the Seps family in 1976. They converted the entire vineyard over to certified organic farming. But here their specialty are these old vine Zinfandels that are grown on these incredibly steep slopes along Mount St. Helena in the northern part of Napa Valley. The famous American wine critic Robert Parker has multiple times called them one of the top 6 best producers of Zinfandel in the world. But what I love about these wines, they kind of harken back to a different age of Napa Valley, where these wines had this depth and intensity and structure and meatiness to them. Yes, they have beautiful ripe fruit, but this is just, I think, one of the standard bearers for classic Napa Valley old vine winemaking.
And this is a Grand Reserve month, and we have two excellent selections. And we're going to start right now with the Philippe Santi, the Vertigo, a beautiful Malbec Syrah Cab Franc blend from Argentina. This is a wine that I'm telling you right now is from a winemaker that knows how to make wine, because he has scored 100 points, not once, twice, three times. He's the guy makes 100-point wine. 100-point wine is what this guy makes.
All the time.
All the time. This is no exception. This didn't get 100 points, but
No,
it deserves 100 points.
Right.
And so therefore we knew that we had to throw this into the Grand Reserve Club. When you start talking about wines from winemakers that get 100 points multiple times, which very few winemakers have gotten it more than once.
Right.
And he has done it multiple times.
So he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You're going to love this wine, and we're going to have Andrew tell you all about it right now.
Now we're to some very special wines for the Grand Reserve tier. First, we're going to Argentina, a very small, boutique, kind of cult winery called Felipe Stadi. Felipe Stadi is a very famous Argentinian. He's actually a Grammy Award-winning guitarist and musician. And he had the imagination and forethought to partner up with this guy named Marcelo Pelleriti. If you ask just a small number of people in Argentina who is the best winemaker in the country, it wouldn't be unusual that the majority of them would name Marcelo Pelleriti. He's the only Argentine winemaker to have not just one but multiple wines score a perfect 100 points from Robert Parker, as well as other major wine critics. And in addition to making these great wines with Felipe, he also makes wines for some of the top wines in Bordeaux. But this is a very special wine called Vertigo. It gets its name because it's on these incredibly steep, vertigo-inducing slopes, almost a mile high in the Uco Valley, which is kind of the hotbed right now for the finest wines in Argentina. Incredibly deep, dark, rich, powerful red, a blend of primarily Malbec, but with some Syrah and Cabernet Franc. Aged in the newest French oak. This is really the finest Grand Cru Bordeaux-style winemaking, but transplanted into these really special old vine Malbec vineyards here in Argentina, and really made to compete with not just the best wines in Argentina, but the finest wines in the world.
All right, your other bottle in the Grand Reserve bottle is a Meritage. You might go, Meritage? Really? A Meritage? No, if you love those Bordeaux-style blends, we're going to the godfather of the Meritage, the guy who created the category. Andy, tell us all about this beautiful anniversary Meritage.
Yeah, anniversary. So this is their 50th harvest bottle right here that they've done. So Mitch is his name. He loves golf. He loves wine. He's been in the business for 40 years. He knows what he's doing, and he does what he wants to do. He doesn't make wines what other people tell him to do. He just does what he wants to do. And actually, this is our second wine actually in the Grand Reserve that we've done for him. That's how much we respect and love his wine. It's a Bordeaux style blend, Cab Merlot and Cab Franc.
Cab Franc, yep.
Cab Franc, yep. So we just really love his wines. He's a great guy. He'll play around the golf with you anytime he wants to, but he makes even better wine.
And we're going to have Andrew tell you a lot more about this collaboration on this Meritage right now.
So our final wine in the Grand Reserve series, a very special limited production wine, a partnership between the fifth generation Scotto family of California and Mitch Cosentino. 40 plus years, one of the groundbreaking winemaker in Napa Valley. He actually was the first person to ever produce and use the term Meritage on a Bordeaux style wine from California. So this wine kind of connects the Scotto family's 50th anniversary of making wine in California with Mitch's 40 plus years of great wines, including being the kind of forerunner of producing these Meritage style wines. But I mean, this is classic Napa Valley. If you love wines like Opus One or Joseph Phelps Insignia, this is a wine that's going to offer you that kind of deep, rich, powerful, complex, age-worthy blend of Cabernet, Merlot, Cab Franc, really a best of the best, and something that's meant to represent kind of the epitome of great winemaking between this legendary winemaker and the Scotto family, who now have 150 years of winemaking in California.
All right, those are your wines. You can come by anytime during the month to pick them up and try them at any time. Just come in, try the wines.
Anytime now.
Anytime.
So,
Show up.
No scheduled tastings.
Just show up anytime during our open hours. You can taste the wines. We are open by the glass, so if you want to enjoy wines by the glass or continue to buy wines by the bottle, you can do that. Also, remind you that we're running our Hats Off to You campaign, where you can get a Loaded Grape hat for a purchase of 24 bottles. Your wine club bottles do not count, so it's an additional
October,
November. So if you haven't really started the campaign, you got a little bit of catching up to you. But I know a lot of the folks have been in here buying wine and are on their way to getting some free merch from the Loaded Grape.
Swag.
So swag. We got swag. If you're impatient and you just want to buy a hat, it's $25. You can do that as well.
Yeah.
But
Or
we'd love
24
to,
bottles.
or 24 bottles. See?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Whatever
See?
you want.
That's how
So,
it goes.
yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you over the month of October here at the Loaded Grape.